Right, good morning and welcome again to our another tutorial. We're going to finish up the risk management in your SP6, and yeah, let's do it and round up this entire course. And again, as you know, we'll be doing some remedial for the next couple of weeks, and we'll just finish up those POEs and yeah, like I say, close up the experience. Okay, so so as you remember, just to recap, we've been talking about risk management and really just looking at the final roundup, to our journey. We discussed yesterday how to, identify risks and, why it's very important to do that in the beginning of a project, and how to obviously conceptualize your ideas around, being able to brainstorm those risks and where that comes from. Again, I told you expert judgment, and it comes from lessons learned, which is a very important step within every project that you will run to document and like I say, almost like you would with a journal, I suppose. If you do journal, at the end of the day, kind of look back at, you kind of write down what your experiences were. We just, just do it in a more corporate, formal fashion, and it really helps out, yourself and many others that do or execute projects in the future, especially obviously within your company. It might have a lot of similarities. So again, obviously the culture, the infrastructure, and so on, will tend to have a lot of the impacts, and same risks will apply. So it definitely has a number of advantages. Okay, so I said to you yesterday that there are a couple of things that we do when we receive, or I say when we identify a risk. We have to in documenting that specific risk, we will decide what type of action we will take, depending on the nature of the risk. Okay, so these are the four that you see in front of you that we will take. I will either choose to avoid the risk. So this can be accomplished in many different ways, and generally happens early on in the project, when any change will result in fewer consequences than later in the project. So an example, avoidance will include changing the project plan to eliminate the risk, or clarifying project requirements to avoid discrepancies. So avoidance might also have a bit of a connotation. So it's like you are running away from a risk. It's not about that. We actually create a situation where the risk does not happen at all. Do you understand? Do you understand if we move forward, we will literally eliminate the possibility of that risk happening at all. So we turn our back on it. We find another direction, and again, for me, from the context and the nature of many risks, allow us to do that. Mitigation, okay, which is almost similar to transference, but let's have a look at the difference, is an effort to reduce the probability and or the impact of an identified risk in the project. Okay, so mitigation is done before the risk happens. An example would include adding activities to the project to reduce the risk of probability or impact. Remember I said to you yesterday that we measure it and we quantify a risk via the probability and the impact. Remember, high probability, high impact are our most important risks that we have to obviously we first quantify, right? Quality in our quality control process, and then we will decide, obviously from top to bottom, what we will do in terms of actions. So just back to mitigation. So again, to reduce the risk of probability and impact, or to simplify the processes within the project. Okay, so mitigation is, in layman's terms, again, trying to be able to find another route for this particular risk. So we'll try and kind of shift it around to be able to have it miss some I say some blockades, like a brick wall, So mitigation is about finding a better route around okay, a problem. Transference is saying, listen, it's not mine anymore. I'm going to give it over to someone else, or I'm going to, or someone else that will deal with the risk better than I do, or that I know that I don't have the capacity to do it, or maybe the knowledge, or the skills, or whatever it may be. So I give ownership over to another person, and again, an expert in a particular field, or whatever it may be, or like I say, the skill that's involved within that risk. And I think that's quite easy to understand. Or we can, at the end of the day, we can also just accept it. And I said to you in previous lessons that one of the biggest risks is that we experience, and we will experience probably. I mean, the way ESCOM does things, they say 18 months, and announce that. I think early on in the year, but we do know that. I mean, if I look at my Facebook history, load shedding has been happening since around about 2008. I cannot believe it's been that long. So the thing is that, going back to this whole load shedding, I mean, almost we had probably the worst type of load shedding, earlier this year. It was so heavy, and so extremely heavy that we had to change working hours, and we had to find a really different, I'd say, innovative, approaches to, just doing daily business. So, for example, like load shedding, which will be a high probability and a very high impact on every project that happens. You understand? Like, we would have to find obviously we have our generators, which is, it only solves part of the problem, because again, we have certain areas that are out for 4, maybe 5 hours during the business, I say the business day. So to find enough generators for a massive business like your own, like there's a factory here, there's a real big problem, and I don't have to say that to you guys, you would know. So we would include, like I say, we accept the risk. We know that load shedding is, for example, happening. We cannot do anything about the nature of it, but we can immediately put something into place to make sure that the risk, right, is not is at the very least effective to the success of outcomes of our project at the end of the day. Okay, so I think that's a very nice. Sorry, excuse me, wrong button there. Okay, here we go. Okay, so that's a nice explanation for those ones over here. So what do we do? It's obviously important to examine the results of a risk response planning process as we captured each of those risks in our project management plan, right? So let's go again through some of the points, as you know I do. Let's go through the points. I'll explain and I'll elaborate just afterwards. If you can see on the side there, plan, do, act. Plan, do, check, and act. So it's a very logical process, and it's something that we would anyway do as human beings. So we just formalize it. The major output of risk response planning is the actual plan. So the plan is also sometimes called the risk register. And again, I do have, like I said, I have examples. I promised you in the previous video I would show you. So I will do so. So the risk register describes two things. Okay, the risk, the description of the risk, what area of the project it may affect, the cause of the risk, and its impact on the project objective, and also then identifying what we're going to do about it. So again, are we going to do avoidance, transference, mitigation, acceptance, etc.? And we have to, and then again, I mentioned something called the Reiki matrix. Okay, so we will also, include the risk in association with the Reiki matrix. and assign responsibility, and someone that's being informed, etc., etc. Right. So as previously, like I said, discussed with you. The actions necessary, obviously. So what will we do? A nice plan of actions in the budget and schedule for risk responses, both the contingency and the fallback plans. Okay. So the thing is, not all risks will need, for example, a contingency plan. Okay. They might be quite simple and they might be quite straightforward. So we might only just need an action, and it might not include detailed or like I say, quite what's the word I'm looking for, invasive. There we go. That's a good word. Yeah, invasive action. All right. Okay, so let's look at the next slide. Risk monitoring and control is the process of monitoring identified risks for signs that they may be occurring, controlling, identify the risks with the agreed responses, looking for new risks that may creep into your project. So in our monitoring and control process, I said to you that, okay, so there's nine, to understand this, we have 9 knowledge management areas in project management, and then we have a hybrid. Like I said to you, there's hybrid models for the project management life cycle. So obviously the life cycle being initiation, planning, monitoring, controlling, execution, closure, and again that we get the different hybrids depending on what approach we'd like to take. But the 9 knowledge management areas are involving scope management, HR management, quality management, cost management, and the list goes on for those 9 knowledge management areas that are applied throughout the life cycle, right? So when we look at the knowledge management, we're looking at a knowledge management area right here, and there again are actions that are, like I said, it's the knowledge management area meeting the project management life cycle. So monitoring, controlling goes and it constitutes a certain amount of action, certain type of action, should I say, within risk management, right? So to confirm risk responses are implemented, are executed basically as planned. That's what the risk monitoring is all about, to determine if the risk responses are effective or if new responses are needed, to determine the validity of the project assumptions, and to determine if risk exposure has changed, evolved, or declined due to trends in the project projection. So those are quite easy. Let's do the other 3. To monitor risk triggers, to confirm policies and procedures that are happening as planned, and to again monitor the project for any new risks that will happen, can happen, and will happen, should I say, as we move along within the risk. So again, just in summation, like that's very nice and clear. I think you'll understand that as well. And you can already start to envision and imagine or throw back to a lot of your own situations where you do experience risks on a daily basis, both in your personal and your professional life, and you must and immediately you can relate to this type of action that we take formalized, like I say, in a formalized manner, to solve the problem. Okay, so that's a nice way to look at it. Let's go ahead and look at some outputs. One would be a workaround plan, which are unplanned reactions to risks that were not identified or that were accepted. Okay, so as we know, like we're not watch it fortune tellers, and whatever Nostradamus was and what they call that. But he wasn't a fortune teller. He could, kind of predict the future. We can't do that. So, but we know that obviously things happen. They will always happen. And so we have to be very diligent and very, I'm looking for, is present. Yes, present. So very present, and like I say, very proactive in being able to be prepared for anything that does happen, and have, like I say, knowledgeable and very like I say, a very expert actions, okay, that we will take. Corrective actions are actions that are taken to bring the project back into compliance with the project plan. So that's thing quite self-explanatory, very easy to understand. The change request, so again, a throwback to our change control board that we did in the previous SP. So when it's a bit bigger, and I say bigger, a bit bigger impact, and we have to make a kind of an official with many different, I say, moving parts that are affected. We have to go through the change control process, and then we would have to again get that process kind of accepted and then verified, and then obviously move along with that. Risk response plans that we update at risks, as the risks occur, the responses to the risks should be documented and updated in the risk response plan. And then we have obviously our risk database. Of course, we don't just document the stuff, put it in and chuck it in the bin. We want to again put this into a database, but that forms part of our lessons learned, okay? And then we do a checklist update, which will help us for future projects, exactly as I just said, the lessons learned, okay? How do we recognize individual team members' performance on the project? Okay, so again, people are, so human beings are what we call unknown unknowns, okay? And that is the worst type of risk, because we have known unknowns, we have known knowns, we have unknown knowns, and then we have unknown unknowns, okay? So without getting into the other three, I want to focus on this unknown unknown, because this is what this is about here, and that's people, because people are the most unpredictable. We also need people the most as well when you are executing a project, and they have the biggest effect. That is the thing. So let's look at a bit of let's look at how to kind of manage people in a way, just be able to kind of have some red alerts if there are any. Ensure that each team member knows that their roles that they're selected for are very clear, okay, as well as their performance are expected, and analyzed on a continuous basis. So a performance appraisal, in a way, should be evaluated. Don't wait too long to evaluate the performance of one of your team members, okay? Have it on an ongoing basis, because the fault might not lie really with them. A lot of the time it happens that it's because they're misguided and misdirected and misled, okay? That we have team members that perform really not in a satisfactory way, okay? And then obviously you have the alternative, which is, well, it's kind of their fault. They're not doing their job. They're just making mistakes. And you know what? That obviously leads to a situation where you would have to replace that particular person instead of corrective. That is the corrective action. Okay, so this places the responsibility on them to manage their own day-to-day work, and that, I think, is just another way of saying you're an adult and you have responsibilities and you're getting paid for them as well. So we expect you to just do it, and nothing more. That's as clear as can be. Part of the team members or their role is to pay attention to the problems others may be facing. So no man or woman is an island, especially in a corporate environment. And again, I say that especially because I do work also. I work in both environments. So we say craft-based industries that I work in, versus corporate. Where craft-based industries, you find that human beings are islands of I say destiny. That's a kind of a bit of a weird word to use, but it's very different to the corporate environment where you are part of a chain. Right. So the thing is, I as a obviously as a team member as part of this, like I say, a part of this corporate culture. I also want to make sure that I provide in the way that my team members, okay, so the other cogs within this wheel are also supported. I want to see what it is that maybe their obstacles are, possibly that I could help them in my own actions, help them achieve better or help them achieve point blank. Okay, responsibilities are assigned to individuals, to individual team members. That should be very clear and and communicated, I say, on an ongoing basis, so that we know that they're understood. Frequent performance feedback, yes, as I mentioned before now. So this feedback should involve explaining to them what they are doing well, where the improvement needs to be, and what is expected. Because the thing is, you must be held accountable as a project manager for, I mean, if you don't tell someone what you want them to do, then, and you get angry or whatever it is because they don't do it, that makes no sense. So you have to tell them, listen, I need you to do X, Y, and Z by A, B, and C, through D and F, whatever it is, right? So that this person knows I will go and follow that path that my manager just told me, and I will go from beginning, middle to end. This isn't, like I say, no one has telepathy, and it's very irresponsible to not lead your team members with the correct information. And be vigilant. Okay, remember that all feedback should be measured against the performance expectations, which should have been communicated to each member, as I've just mentioned. So let's look at a couple of ways that you can interact. Okay, so the relationship, a professional relationship, is very important. You really have to have a so not friendly. So we're not talking. I mean, that's why you have friends outside of work, because they perform a different role to friends, I suppose. In your corporate environment, it's not about that. There must be a relationship, a healthy relationship, where like your worker, your co-worker, or your subordinate, or whatever it is, can come to you, have a conversation that is work related, and be able to have that two-way communication quite openly, without being, like I say, judged or felt that they are threatened by losing their job or whatever it is, just because they're opening their mouth. And like I say, because you are also creating an environment for someone to feel comfortable enough to give you greater performance, you understand, greater ideas, they want to be involved. So you really want that relationship to be there. And the moment that relationship is not there, you are putting your business and its prospects to risk, immediately. So respect is another thing. I mean, respect is very easy to give. And you know what? My idea, it's very easy to get. Well, in a nicer, ideal world. Respect is often confused for subordinates, right? I don't think that's a way that we should be doing things. Respect is saying, look, listen, I have and I acknowledge you as and I treat you as, I speak to you as, and I also act and work accordingly to. But the thing is, it has to be a two-way thing. If you want respect, you have to also give respect. Okay, and again, remember the really positive thing about this is when you like I said, when you go ahead and execute and really live these corrective actions, you're going to get a lot more out of your workforce and your team than if you don't. So it's only logical to just do it. You're going to reinforce. So correction should be used as a time to remind the team, listen, we got a certain vision, we have a certain goal, we have a certain culture, and objectives, you know, that we have within the business and also within the project itself. So kind of stay on track, you know, remember that that's what we want to be. That's what we want the brand to be as well. And this is why the work within this project is so important, and your output or your input, should I say, is important. Okay. So replace. Some people simply aren't a fit for the team, you know. And so everybody in life, well, I'm really not that I wish it on anyone, because I've also been there. I mean, it wouldn't make sense to be 40 years old and not have been in a situation where I do not fit. You know, I didn't fit the team anymore, and I was replaced, as I'm sure you two were. So it's you know, it isn't always. It really isn't always about performance. It's just about, like I say, fitting into the culture. So if someone doesn't make the fit, you have to take the action, and, you know, like I say, let them go. It's healthier for the organization. And again, we don't always have to refer to the fact that they were a bad employee or whatever it may be. It's just and they would probably feel it just as much as you do, that they'd feel uncomfortable and really out of place within, obviously, the workspace. So it would probably be a mutual agreement. Restore, make sure that the person being corrected knows that you still believe in their abilities, and that you have faith that they can do the job for which they are responsible. We love to hear kind words, and I say kind and also truthful words. There's nothing better than being truthful, because the thing is that if you tell the truth all the time, people know you to be someone, so that if when something is wrong, you'll tell them. If something is right, you'll tell them. If something is excellent, you'll tell them. Right. So that's what we want to be able to do. Be able to have a relationship where they understand that, you know what, you're very honest, you're very straight, and they always know what they get, and what they see is what they get, and what they hear is what they get with you. Um, and that's very important. So refocus, bring back the attention to where, you know, your team member has done something wrong, and really help them learn from those mistakes. And reprimand, please. I mean, that's the thing. If you've done something wrong, you have to reprimand someone like you would a child. You know, but a child obviously has a different nature than you shouting and screaming, which is really incorrect, obviously, and but you must reprimand if they have done something. Your team member has done something that has been irresponsible, and then let them see the error of their ways, and if there are consequences, execute them. Okay, that almost sounded very evil when I said that. Okay, so let's look at evaluating their feedback. Let's look at almost in a timeless manner. So feedback only really is effective if you give it like if you give it on time. Does that make, or in time? You know, at the time that it happens, give or that something happens, you need to obviously give them feedback on. You understand what I mean? Like it doesn't help me doing something incorrect and 3 months later I get the feedback, or a month later. Right. So giving someone positive feedback should be done as soon as the event is possible. Be specific. The more detailed the manager is, the more likely the positive behavior of the action is going to be repeated, and be impactful. So as part of the feedback, telling staff members how they have contributed to the goals or the missing of the group makes the feedback a lot more meaningful. Oh, I understand. Yes, I do. I will do that now, like not now, tomorrow, right? Or whenever it is, the immediacy. So this feedback, you know, doesn't need to be an hour-long conversation. It just needs to be short, to the point. This is what you and good feedback needs to, like, we don't always have to just let me finish. I've got many thoughts. So we don't always have to call someone when something goes wrong. Call them when something goes good as well. It's great. Take the 15 minutes. There's nothing, that is your job as a leader. Take them in, say, listen, I really, I appreciate and I love the fact that you've been contributing in this manner. I like that, which, we are going to definitely want to explore or expand that type of behavior or this particular action that you did. That's very important for being able to manage people. Okay, so good teams emerge from understanding what the boundaries of their role, obviously, so that we know where to not step out of, and also remember what we need to do, on a day-to-day basis. Okay, how much freedom they have to make decisions, and who they can delegate to, and who delegates tasks to them. So what is the food chain in a way. Okay, how the performance will be assessed. So what are they main things they are expecting to do? So performance appraisals, and what is the consequence of having a performance appraisal, right? So they should understand that when they are being evaluated, it's also you're doing it for safety as well, so that you have formal documented processes that if action needs to be taken at a certain point, you don't just have hearsay. So where they can turn for advice, support, and supervision, the boundaries to their freedom to be creative, and then use their initiative, and how they're going to be supported to grow and develop as a person and a worker in the team. Okay, so the decisions that we make and the way we communicate in the workplace can greatly help us achieve leadership. Obviously, I mean, you can do a massive harm to both the company and the people if you're just not thinking straight. Okay, you are all over the place. Your actions are led by emotion, which is a big fat no. And it's again that leads again to disrespect, or like I say, the actions that can even amount to legal reactions. You really don't need that type of thing. So we always say, and it is hard to do. I understand that you leave your emotions at the door, and it would be so wonderful world if everyone just left their emotions at the door and came into the workspace and operated almost like robots, with just a little bit of passion and direction. That's it, But we are human beings, and we have to be able to learn that is a skill that we need to manage. High performance teams do not rely on democratic or quorum-based decision making, right? They work together to test each other's support and understanding. They know that when a team is not in full agreement on decision or direction, or one or more of the team members disagree, it is unrealistic to expect that those team members will adequately support the decision. And I know you can immediately relate to these little points that we're having out there. One of the best models for testing for understanding and support is thumbs up, thumbs down, or thumbs sideways. Get it? So we like something, thumbs up. We don't like something, thumbs down. We kind of think, I don't know, we need a little bit more clarity on it, thumbs sideways. The best solution is sought through getting team members to debate their viewpoints. Not only do we want people to be heard, we also we support and we grow, right? We grow the possibility of ideas and creativity, right? To be able to allow our team members to be able to brainstorm together, to openly talk to one another. Like I said, the potential for, like I say, a really great output comes from employing these type of structures and support systems. So a work plan is an outline of a set of goals and processes by which a team and or person can accomplish those goals, offering the reader a better understanding of the scope of the project. project. Through work plans, you break down a process into small, achievable tasks and identify the things that you want to accomplish. So let's look what this what SMART means here. SMART means that let's be specific. So as we mentioned before, more specific. It's not a fictional. Is it fictional? Yeah, fictional. That's right. It's not a nice fiction book that you're writing, but very specific, very short, very clear, and very unambiguous. Measurable. So with specific criteria that measure your progress, that measures your progress, should I say, towards the accomplishment of your goal should be specified there. Achievable. So how are we going to attain these specific tasks or these specific goals? Let's be realistic. So we're within reach. We be realistic. Make sure that we set goals that are achievable, right? And also relevant and purposeful to the reason why we start a project, okay, in the first place. And then obviously time is manner with a clearly defined timeline, including starting date and target date. The purpose is to create urgency and also to understand that, listen, we cannot carry on with you waffling on. You understand, right? Okay. So when it is put in paper, it's like it's written in stone, as the Bible says, so it is written, so it shall be done. Okay. So review decisions, confirm correct decisions, and then rescind or amend incorrect decisions. So it's kind of like life, right? The purpose of the review is to improve the decision-making process and really reduce uncertainty. So whilst some of the important, decisions that you make are going to be, like I say, at a higher level and a higher impact, whatever it is, than others, it's in the best interest to help them develop, a strong ability to make a good one. So who, I'm talking about your team. Who, I'm talking about your leader. Everyone needs to be able to build a skill of making correct and productive decisions. So how do we do that? We lead by example. Now, that's very daunting to be given the responsibility to lead by example, because you're also human and you will make mistakes. And the point is that you need to own a mistake for people to respect and also find you a good leader, an example of how when they make mistakes, they can also deal and, like I say, process and obviously amend those mistakes. Okay, so offer choices, give people the permission to make mistakes. There we go, just said it now. Praise some good decision, and of course offer feedback, good or bad. That is the roundup for all our theory. Thank you. And I'm just going to have a look at some extra sub material that I'll give you a bit later on. But for now, just I say have a bit of a mind rest, instead of relaxation. But that does not mean don't finish up that POE. We really need it. You need it. Okay, and we will see each other face to face at work. Okay, have a good day.